So if you look inside your codes, you actually have some coding here to handle the delete and insertion of your rows. But we're not going to use this set of codes. I can actually highlight and just delete them. In fact, I'm not going to use any of these codes here. So I can just get rid of that. Okay. So what we have here is we're going to have a swipe to the right, and this is called the leading swipe. Leading swipe. And for our design, when you swipe to the right, we are going to conduct a sharing action. So we're going to share something when I swipe to the right. When I swipe to the left, this is a trailing swipe. And we will do a delete action associated with this trailing swipe. Okay? So let's do the delete action first. So with the delete action, I need to do a trailing swipe. So I'm going to do override func, and I'm going to do trailing swipe. So take a look. Let's double click this. This has everything we need. So let's go inside this code block and develop our delete action handler. Here we are going to use a UI contextual action. So this UI contextual action is responsible for the swiping mechanism. Let's apply the two parameters that we'll need. The style is destructive, obviously, because we're deleting. And then for the title, it's going to be delete. And then we'll need a handler. I'm going to do a bracket here and parenthesis. I'm going to supply it the action. I'm going to have a source view. And then we also will need the completion handler. Okay, so we have these three parameters. In space, press enter. Because we are inside a closure, let's use self, and then we're going to do cafe names dot remove at index path dot row. Okay, here we're deleting from our array. So I'm going to highlight this and copy because I'm going to have repeating elements to get rid of. So here we have the names. We're going to need to get rid of the locations, types, images, and then also is visited. So now that the array elements have been removed, let's go ahead and delete the row using our table view dot delete. Okay, here it is, delete rows. Double click that, and we are going to pass it the index path, and then dot fade. Okay, let's set our completion handler to true. And outside of this, we need to return our swipe. Okay, the UI swipe actions configuration. So let's return that. But before we can do that, we have to set it. Let swipe config is equal to UI swipe action configuration right here. It's going to have an action, and it's going to be our delete action. Return swipe config. Okay, shall we test it? Okay, so let's swipe. Okay, so looks like it's working. How about if I swipe to the right? It doesn't work because I haven't implemented that action yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our next swipe. In fact, what I could do actually is just copy this whole thing, Control C and Control V. Okay, this is going to be swipe right. Okay, and instead of trailing, we're going to do leading. And guess what? Instead of delete action, it's going to be a share action. And for the style, since we're not deleting, it should not be destructive. We can set it to be a normal style. And for the title, it can be share. So this part is still pretty much the same. Now this chunk of code can go. We get rid of all this right here. Okay. We're going to type in our own share logic here. So when we share something, there's going to be some kind of text. So let's set our default text. And it's equal to just checking in at. And then we're going to do a concatenation, plus sign here, self.cafe name, parenthesis, index path, dot row. Let's declare our activity controller. And that is a UI activity view controller right here. Okay, so anytime you share something in iOS, it involves the UI activity view controller. Also, if you copy something to the clipboard, it involves the UI activity view controller. Next, we are going to type in the code to share a picture. Okay, so a picture of a cafe, we're going to share it. And we're going to use this if let. Okay, so if let image to share is equal to UI image view. UI image name. And this name we do know because it's from our array. Image. Because there's an if, we need a bracket, or brace, we need a brace here. Okay? This if let that we're doing this is a way to check to ensure that we actually have an image. If we don't have an image, then it will actually crash the system. But because we're using this if let, it ensures that we do have an image before it takes another step. Okay? So it's kind of like a fail-safe way of checking to ensure that there is an image for this step that we are going to do. Because if you don't have an image, it will be very ugly. Or in other words, it's basically a way to unwrap an optional. Okay, so this is more advanced Swift programming, which you'll learn in the future. Okay, so let's set our activity controller is equal to UI activity view controller, and it's going to have some parameters. I'm going to pass it the default text and our image to share. And no handler here. So in this case, there is no picture, so we can just share only the default text and no picture. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this right here. So in this case, I can just do default text, but no image. Also, we need to present self.present. Let's go ahead and double click this. Our UI view controller is really our activity controller. And no handler here. Okay, and down here for the swipe config, because we did that copy and paste, it's not delete action, it's the share action. Okay, so I think everything looks good. Let's try it again. Let's click on it. Check in, check out, swipe, delete that, swipe right, share. Let's copy this picture. Okay, so let's go into our text message, Johnny Appleseed, and right click in here, paste. And there's our picture, and here is our default text. Okay, so it actually works. Okay, so this is really cool. So in our next assignment, we are going to create a navigation system. Here we have one screen, so in our next assignment, we'll have multiple screens, and we have Moldo, pop-ups, and so forth. So stay tuned. Good luck with this assignment.